What's up, folks? It's your man Ron Headback, and welcome to the Dark Lab. Have you ever looked inside the utilities section of Reason's browser and wondered what half the stuff does and then maybe overlooked it? Well, look again, because that's where Pulsar lives. For such a little device, it can do so much for you. We're going to be taking a simple Europa stab like this and turning in some real moody Darkroom like this. Feel me? Okay, let's have a look in the rack and see how we're going to build this. Okay, so let's start out with our beat. We're going to be using a lot of reverb, making this really roomy. I mean, it is Darkroom after all. I always think this kind of beat, it's like recreating the sound of outside a club or a warehouse and hearing all that wall of bass and reverberation, and then recreating that sound outside the warehouse, inside the warehouse, which is a bit meta, but that's just how it feels to me. When you're choosing your sounds for your kick, you're going to want something that's quite lower frequencies, a bit of a longer tail, and just a good kind of subby thud to it, like so. Pretty brutal kind of sounding kick there. Just straight 4/4. For your hats, you're going to want to pick a sound that's quite short and sharp, a little bit metallic, and just straight hi-hats, like so. But to bring a bit of movement to those hi-hats, bring in some shakers. You see here just a very standard pattern. It's almost like Mama Papa. Bring those in. Next up, for your clap, you're going to want to take something that's a longer tail so that it spreads and smears across the entire mix with all that reverb that's going to be going on, like so. Now, because this is just quite a standard flat beat, we're going to want to kind of add some bit of grunge to it, some harder industrial sounds. I think if Darkroom had a flatmate, it would probably be industrial music. So we're going to take in next sound that we have here, and you'll see here that's called KLACK. And that's a white noise clap, really, really harsh. You wouldn't not use it as a normal clap. What I'm doing with that is you see that it's just on the 0.5 speed, half speed. That's a double tap, and with that sound, using Redrum's send effects, that's coming down to a digital delay line. It's 4/1/16, quite a lot of feedback and dry wet, and can actually raise the dry wet of that delay to build a kind of crescendo with the beat, like so. Some nice, good heavy-duty vibes, and they go there with that clacking, machine-like sound. And carrying on with that feel, we have, next up, beep. Just take a tom, pitch up or pitch it down a bit, and then you'll see again, using the delay, the send there. It's a separate delay here, bit less feedback, 4/1/16, and that's just a little double tap, and then a little accentuation at the end there. So altogether, this is like so. So because you've got things on half speed there, the clacks are at the very end, the beep is in the kind of center, you're getting a nice interplay and accentuation of the sounds going on there for the industrial elements. Now, with Darkroom, no beat is complete without its effects, so we'll dive into those next. Okay, let's have a look at our effects. First up, we'll check the beat completely clean. It's not very Darkroom, it's more like living room. So we want to kind of add a lot of space with RV7000 and Scream to add some scuzz. And how we're doing this is a kind of quick and dirty way of doing parallel effects processing. I'll go through it quickly here, but there's a good YouTube by Infect on the Reasons YouTube channel, so you can check that for a kind of slower pace. You know, how we basically do it is you take your output of your redrum into a Spider audio merger splitter. You bring that in, and then you kind of want to think about working backwards. So you've got your reverb, take the output of that into channel 2 of the micro mixer. So you've got your only kind of reverb channel. And the same thing with Scream, bring it in number 3, and it's got its own kind of channel. And then for the inserts, bringing that down to the right hand side, the Spider audio, and then the same with the Scream down to here. What you want to do then is you chain everything together, you do the merge, and then for the clean signal, it's the very last one here on the merger splitter. And what's this allowing you to do is have a copy of your clean beat and then just a version that's just purely the effect, the reverb, and then purely the Scream. So that will sound, if you just listen to the reverb on its own. So that's what we want, that kind of really spacious, big room kind of sound. But on its own, that's going to be useless. You know, we kind of have to have the original beat there, the backbone in. So we can kind of bring that in like so. So you're getting the best of both worlds there. And next up, we'll have the Scream, because with those kind of industrial sounds that are going on, we kind of really want to make them quite harsh. So we're going to use some distortion here with a little bit of frequency cutting. And that sounds like this. So really scuzzy, it's bringing out that clack and that beep sound, and then layering it all up. It's going to be like so. Reverb, clean. So there you go, that's some pretty heavy duty Darkroom vibes there on the beat. And let's move on to the Europa. We can show you how Pulsar is going to be playing and performing for you. Okay, so let's have a look at our instrument, and that is Europa Pulse. Now, we're going to be covering some pretty heavy-duty CV routing stuff here, but grab an aspirin, we'll get through this together, and you can download the combinator afterwards, take it apart, see how it's all working. Now, what we have just here is a very basic 3-chord hit. And that's sounding kind of pretty dull, but it'd be cool if we were tweaking lots of the parameters of the Europa. But, you know, we can get kind of wild with potentially lots of things that we would want to tweak. You know, frequency, resonance, effects, drive, filters, the amp envelope and things like that. But rather than going in and drawing all that, we're going to have Pulsar play for us, basically. So if you haven't looked before, and I was very trepidatious when looking at these, the programmer of this Reason synths for the first time. I was like, what exactly is this all doing? But, you know, dive in, and what you can do is you can go and set up the inputs, CV1, 2, 3, and 4, located in the back here. You can set them up as inputs that they'll receive a CV signal from the Pulsar. So in order to define these, you can just say, yeah, okay, this CV1, I want it to control my filter frequency. So that's basically going to tune that up and down. And then CV2 is going to be our resonance. Now, pro tip, a thing that I'd missed out on before is you can actually grab this little arrow and drop it onto the parameter that you want to define. So that was one I missed, and it's really useful. So CV1 and 2, that'll be controlling our frequency and resonance. And then CV3 and 4, that's going to be controlling our effects. And that is going to be the phaser amount and the delay amount. So like here and here. So in order to get this working, we're going to take CV1 and CV2 and jack it into this first pulsar that we have here. And at a rate of 3/8, this is going to be opening, closing, pushing the frequency and resonance at that rate to this level. And you'll see here there's the amount, so that is the baseline that we're setting. So anything above 61, this pulsar is going to be pushing that up and down to this rate. So if you hear, now with this kind of darkroom sound, you want to have things like really, really varied. You know, just like that, just at that level. If we were to crank it all the way up, you know, it's going to be too much. If we take it down, it's not enough. But we can control the proportion of that level, this baseline here, by another LFO feeding into the level there, pretty far out. So this sounds like this. If I was just to bring this down dead, like so. Not much going on. If I just go and put the level, that CV into there, and my level back. So there's a decent enough feeling of variation. It is going to be repeating, but we're kind of get that illusion of that things aren't happening twice. There's enough variation there to keep the listener really interested and to take things to those higher, kind of lower subby frequencies up to that kind of like high metallic kind of sound as well. So we'll move on to the next pulsar. This is CV3 and 4, the phaser amount and the delay amount. We'll just come to the back of the device. And CV3 is going to come down to this pulsar. And you'll see that that is a rate of 1/4 and level 7/3. And we're using phase, shuffle, and lag because, as I say, you want that kind of like illusion that there's more actually going on than there is. And it can good variance and good randomness kind of coming in. And then with CV4, it's coming down to second LFO, kind of far slower rate, a reasonable level, again, plenty phase, shuffle, and lag, and that's going to be pumping up the amount of delay amount alongside the phase. As you see there, at the different rates, and when you're using the phase, shuffle, and lag, you'll notice even here with the little blips, there's like a kind of hiccup that's appearing, and that's kind of giving that, you know, the real kind of randomness. It can actually, there's a pretty good rack extension by Robotic Bean, and that is compare CV scope. And what you can do with that is it'll actually show you what's going on. So this is the kind of level of randomness that we have going on with everything. If we just play that. So would you want to go away and draw all that level of automation? I don't think so. So use Pulsar to play things for you. And an extra little goodie I put in there, because this is Darkroom and we kind of want things to get really intense and messy. You'll notice that there's a button called LURCH. We'll just turn that on. You can hear what happens. That is using Polar, and it's using a 1 second octave shift. It just really slams and slides and lurches things everywhere. Maybe a little bit too excessive, but you know, it's there for you to have fun and experiment with. So as say with Pulsar, it's just such a little device, but it can do so much for you. It can do a lot for you. So drag it out, see what you can do with it. We'll move on to the next instrument where that's going to do some real no hands tweaking. So no Darkroom would be complete without some acid lines rolling and chirping and squawking away in the background there. So for this, we're using Foscon, however it's pronounced. And that's a really good acid emulator. And what we're going to do here is, similarly with the Europa, is we're going to have Pulsar tweak some of these parameters for us. Now you'll kind of see it's quite cute in VSTs. They actually show you what's going on. If you have a look there, the cutoff and resonance is dancing. So is the accent as well. They don't do this in the rack. I can probably imagine why. You probably take up loads of graphic processing power. But let's just check out how this is sounding. Some pretty good acidic vibes going on there. So let's go and see how we're going to set this up. Now, if you, like me, you first time you loaded up a VST and then you clicked the CV programmer button, you just kind of shrugged and I don't know what this does. Well, you know, don't be shy, dive in, because what you can do is with any VST, you have 8 CVs that you're going to be able to set up with inputs. Basically what you can do is you control any parameter within a VST that's on the UI, and have that hook up to a Pulsar, hook up to various other stuff. And what that is going to do is, in this case, I'm setting my CV1 to be the cutoff, my CV2 to be the resonance, and my CV3 to be the accent. So that's going to give me some pretty cool tweaking on the go. So if we come down here, and CV1 is on my first Pulsar here. It's just how the chips landed. I wasn't doing this in order. You'll find this yourself when you're beginning to root things. It'll be like, that rate's good, that level's good. You'll be kind of swapping around, and you'll have happy accidents as well, where really neat things will happen. So this frequency coming down here, LFO, and then that's at quite a slow rate, 3/4, and quite reasonable level. Again, plenty phase and some lag, and you actually see in the UI what's happening there with the cutoff. You can almost kind of match it up, how that's being tweaked up and down. And then for CV2, it's coming down to this LFO, and that's a far slower rate, 12/4, phase, shuffle, lag, not too intense. And that's with the resonance, because if you begin to kind of really squawk and chirp things up with the resonance, it gets a little bit uncomfortable. So you see that that's just a kind of very gradual decline and then incline up at that kind of slower rate. Now what we're doing with the second Pulsar is we're going to control our effects with that. We're taking this one here, second LFO. We're coming down to the delay, and that is going to be controlling the pan and the feedback of the delay. So as you saw before with the Europa, and here it's just like there's some good randomization, there's good kind of tweaks coming in that it's going to feel random enough. It's as if it's like, as if you would be like jamming away on a surface itself, and you're getting this effect. Look, man, no hands. So it's pretty neat that you can do that and Pulsar's playing for you. One of the last things I've got here, is save it to last, is on some of the players you have CV inputs as well. So I'm taking this inverse here, Pulsar, and what I'm doing there is I'm controlling the gate length. Now you might wonder, why would I want to play with the gate length? Well, with Acidlines, is you can have the kind of short decay where things are really beginning to chirp and squawk, but then as the gate gets longer or the decay is longer, that you get that kind of synonymous kind of acid sound of the notes are beginning to blend and rubber band into each other. So I'll just kind of give that little sample. Take this right down. Very chirpy. Bring it right all the way up, and the notes will slide. But with Pulsar, we're going to get the best of both worlds, and that's going to kind of lurch in and out of the two, between kind of chirps and the note sliding. So we can kind of have it like so. Let's just see here. You'll see at some points it's going to slide in, and because there's enough phase and lag there, that it's going to kind of give that feeling of it's not repeating again and again and again. It is, but it's just kind of giving that sense of variation. So we just check it there. So that's pretty cool. Don't have to touch a thing, and Pulsar is going to do it all for me. Why did I buy all these surfaces? So let's go and listen to this all together and check it. So some pretty good heavy duty darkroom there, all with the power of Pulsar. It's just 4 little pulsars controlling so many things for us. If we go back to the Europa, we're controlling 1, 2, 3, 4, the frequency, the resonance, the phase, the delay. It's having its proportion handled by one of the pulsars as well. Then back into our Fosicon, we have the frequency cutoff, the resonance, the accent that's being tweaked, the effects, the amount of the delay. Such a little device is giving you so much. So I really recommend you go into the utility section, check out Pulsar and get it to play things for you. My name's Ron Headback. Catch you on the other side. Peace.